Good Shabbos, good Shabbos. I get Shabbos, good Shabbos.
The Ohr Chaim HaKodesh asks a fundamental question. Yosef is Mishnah Melech Mitzrayim. He has all the power of the world in his hands. Why doesn't he do the first thing he should do? Is send a messenger to Yaakov Avinu and say, your son is alive. Yosef understands Yaakov is mourning. Besakoi v'tanisoi. He doesn't know what happened to Yosef. He probably assumes that Yosef is dead. Why doesn't Yosef send a messenger? The Ohr Chaim says, Yosef doesn't want to be malben pnei echav. He doesn't want to hurt his brothers and tell Yaakov the terrible story of Mechilas Yosef. And b'mechila, I'm offer ve'efa tachas kapas raglav ha'kedoshes shel Ohr Chaim HaKodesh, but I don't understand. Should we care more for the perpetuators or for the victim? The brothers did an awful thing. Threw him into a pit with snakes and scorpions, sold him, and does he have more rachmanis on them or on his old father, Yaakov HaTzadik, that has a broken heart for years, not knowing what happened to Yosef? My second question is even a more troubling one. Yosef doesn't need to tell Yaakov what happened. He could just tell him, I'm alive. And even if Yaakov will inquire, what happened? Tell me the story. You don't need to tell the truth when you're going to hurt others. Yosef could make up a story. I went to look for my brothers, and I didn't find them, and it was pitch black, and then some cannibals snatched me away. And he doesn't need to blame his brothers at all. Tell Yaakov a story, whatever you want to tell him, but just let him know you're alive. So let me explain to you my feeling and my approach. From the first moment, Yosef understands this is not just coincidence. I know my brothers. They're great tzaddikim, kedoshim and ta'orim. It's not them. They would never do such a cruel, bad thing. They wouldn't hurt our beloved and great father, and they wouldn't hurt me. I know they envied me. I know they were angry, but it's not typical. Sepasnish semana brida. This cannot be. The Rambam writes in Parshas at the end of Masechet Brochas, Eis lasesh l'shem eferus orasecho. Sometimes the Kodesh Baruch Hu takes away the bechira of people when he wants to implement his master plan. Yosef on his way to Mitzrayim and that caravan has a lot of time for contemplation, and it's clear to him this mahalach is a mahalach Eloki. It's bigger than me, bigger than my brothers. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has some great plan, because it's not typical to my brothers. He arrives in Eretz Mitzrayim, and he becomes a servant in the home of one of the nobles. And the person's wife tries to develop a terrible relationship with him and to seduce him, which is also insane. He's a young Jewish boy. This is not normal. And she is so adamant. And then she does what she does, and he's thrown into jail together with two important people, and they dream. And Yosef never was aware that he has this talent to be a Poisach Aloimis, and he succeeds. And then the king dreams, and in the entire land, no one could be Poisach Aloimis or Parai, only he, and he is successful in being Poisach Aloimis. Now, why would a Poisach Aloimis be a great administrator? Parai is crazy. So you have a young Jewish boy, no administrative experience at all. He doesn't talk the tongue of the land. He knows nothing about economics. He has no experience in administration. His only talent is Poisach Aloimis. And why would he be Mishnah Lamelech? This is an insane chain of events. And Yosef becomes more and more clean to him. it becomes clear to him, this is something huge is happening here, something that we do not control. יש פה מהלך אלוקי. And therefore, it is clear to Yosef, I do not have the permission to take any initiative. I don't know what HaKadosh Baruch Hu has in mind. Sheva al tasa odiv. I can do nothing and I will do nothing. I don't know what's up to me. And I might mess things up. And therefore, Yosef does nothing and doesn't notify his father. And then the other side of this story, what happens between Yosef and his brothers? Yosef is aware by Ruach HaKodesh that Mechiras Yosef will haunt our people throughout the ages. You all are familiar with the kina we say in Musaf and Yom Kippur. Chazal say, Yesora Ruga Malchus were a kapora for the Chet of Mechiras Yosef. Yosef knows, I have to fix whatever I can to atone this terrible story of Mechiras Yosef, because Yosef knows we will pay a terrible price in the future for the Chet of Mechiras Yosef. The Shvatim were the founders of Klal Yisrael, and their Chet will affect all the coming generations of Israel. As I said before, Masavas Yitzhar Rabbanim, for good and for bad. And Yosef understands, I need to do everything within my power to bring my brothers to regret, to atone, and somewhat of a tikkun and kapora. And this kapora comes in two different stages. All the brothers are thrown into a cell, and they don't know ki hamelitz beinoisam. Yosef planted people that understand their language. Why would Yosef want to eavesdrop and overhear what they're talking about? Because Yosef needs to know, am I achieving my goal? And the brothers make their cheshbon nefesh. They're not aware that the Mishnah Lamelech is Yosef. They shouldn't be expected to associate what's happening to them now with what they did years ago. But they do. They do associate. And they say to each other, V'yomru ish elachav, aval Hashem menachnu, alochinu. Ro'ina b'tzoras nafsha b'eschanenoi eleinu, v'lo shamanu. He cried to us, he begged us, he pleaded with us. We didn't hear. We didn't listen. Hekshenu et levovenu, lev even. And that is the primary blame. It's not only the act of selling Yosef. How could we be so cruel? He was our brother. He cried out to us, V'lo shamanu. That is the first stage of tikkun, achva, brotherhood, feeling one another, feeling the pain. But Yosef knows it's still not enough. And against his nature, against his will, b'mistorim tivke nafshi, he cries in his private chambers, but he knows he has a mission. He has a duty to do. He has a mission to accomplish. And he goes on. He's persistent. It is only when Yehuda says, Ki avdacho ora v'sanar, yeshev do avdacho tachas sanar. That is real brotherhood. Yehuda says, I am willing to pay the price. My brother stole your cup. He is to blame. But I took upon my responsibility to bring him back to his father. And I will bear the consequences. Let him go. And if I die, I die. If I need to be an Eved all my life, let it be. In that moment, Yosef knows enough is enough. I achieved my goal. And that is the tikkun misuyam on the chet of Mechiras Yosef. And he could no longer bear the pain. And then he breaks out crying, and he says, Ani Yosef, ha'oid avi chai. So that is the way I learned this story, the saga of Mechiras Yosef, and the entire story of Yosef and his brothers that comes to a climax in this week's parsha. And this is the way I think primarily we should learn Maaseh Avos, and this is the way of the Zohar and the Ramban. Maaseh Avos yet siman abonim, Maaseh Avos yet tzira abonim, and we should be zochet to schus Avos and chazdei Avos. Beglal Avos tishia abonim v'savi geula lebnei bneiim, bebias goel tzedek b'mheiro v'yomeinu amen.